Tonight, no lunchtime supervision and another day of rotating strikes highlight the latest sanctions from Saskatchewan teachers. Also, how a Regina City councillor likely violated ethics rules by weighing in on a pickleball club lease. Plus, an actor from Peter Ballantine Cree Nation revels in his breakthrough role on the new season of HBO's True Detective.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Monday, February 5th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for joining us. The Saskatchewan Teachers Federation says teachers will not be supervising students at lunchtime on Thursday. It's the latest job action as contract talks with the province remain at a standstill. Laura Sharpaletti has more on the latest moves.
On Monday morning, the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation issued a 48-hour strike notice. This time, it's the withdrawal of voluntary services in schools. In addition to no lunchtime supervision, teachers will also not be organizing or leading any noon-hour activities or clubs. The province has said it is ready and willing to negotiate. It says it's offered teachers a 7% raise over 3 years and insists classroom size and complexity are best addressed at school division levels. The STF says solutions need to be mandated in their new collective agreement. That's to guarantee adequate support for students.
There are unique challenges in each of the school divisions and each of the schools across our province. The decisions around how to best support students are best made at the local level, but those decisions are also strengthened when teacher voice is included in that process. School divisions need assurances that they will have the funding available to meet the needs of students in their schools.
Meanwhile, a second round of rotating strikes is scheduled to begin on Wednesday. This time, Saskatoon schools and others to the north are included, but not those in Regina. In all, about 65,000 students will be affected. The STF says it recognizes the measures will have a significant impact on students and their families. Saskatchewan's education minister says the move is disappointing.
We're always looking at our bargaining mandate and understanding reviewing our position, reviewing where we believe there might be room. I hope the other side's doing that as well. And if we're both doing that and we're both at the table, then I think we can get a deal done. But unfortunately, we're not there right now.
The SDF says it's up to individual school divisions on how they handle the unsupervised lunch hour on Thursday. Regina Public Schools have already canceled afternoon classes that day. Laura Sharpaletti, CBC News, Regina.
An ethics expert says a Regina City councillor likely violated the city's Code of Ethics bylaw. This after CBC uncovered new details about allegations that Lori Bresciani interfered in a municipal corporation's lease negotiations. Alexander Kwan reports.
When it comes to ethics violations, one councillor could be in quite a pickle. CBC has obtained a series of email exchanges that span 2023. They show Regina City Councillor Lori Bresciani asking Tim Reed, then head of Regina Exhibition Association Limited, or REAL, to give Queen City Pickleball a cheaper lease. The Ward 4 councillor was tapped by the pickleball club last year to, quote, step forward to help navigate the rate issue. If not, the club claimed it would have to close. The emails validate one of a series of allegations that have hung over Regina City Council since last year. In an open letter, former REAL board chair Wayne Morski alleged that one or more councillors had inappropriately asked for things, including a job with the municipal corporation, free event tickets for themselves and others, and interfered in lease negotiations. While the documents appear to validate the last allegation, Bresciani insists she did nothing wrong.
It's my job as a councillor to refer any email that I get from a concerned resident. And that's what I did in this situation, and I think it's important. I think it's valid.
Bresciani was also a member of Queen City Pickleball when the emails were sent, and she still is. According to an ethics expert, that's a problem.
From the outside looking in, the councillor's in a bit of a conflict because the councillor's a member of the pickleball club. So the councillor is paying a membership. So if the pickleball club's rent goes up, then the councillor's membership goes up.
Bresciani insists she was never issuing a directive to Tim Reed, the man in charge of REAL at the time. Instead, she says she was simply asking for help to find a solution. But Stedman says that's weak.
I don't think that's much of an answer. I think that's the kind of answer you want to give to avoid the scrutiny. But I think at the end of the day, the council here is probably going to have to admit that there was a misstep, that she made a misstep, and she should be a little more alert to that perception in the future.
Stedman says the violation of the city's ethics rules is minor and does not mean Bresciani is corrupt. But he says these small violations can add up, and that will ruin the good work elected officials are actually doing. We asked Mayor Sandra Masters what she thought of the situation, but she didn't want to get into it. As for what could happen next, a complaint could be filed with the city's integrity commissioner, though for privacy reasons, we wouldn't know if that happens. If someone is found to have violated the city's ethics rules, they could be asked to apologize, be forced to take extra training, or be removed from a council committee. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
A call for help today from the chief of Peter Ballantine Cree Nation. After more than a year in a state of emergency, she says residents of Pelican Narrows live in daily fear. Chief Karen Bird says that comes from drug-fueled violence, stabbings, shootings, and suicide. She says it's all a result of historical injustice and geographic isolation.
We stand in a linchpin moment.
In an open letter to Premier Scott Moe and Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Bird is calling for a multi-pronged solution. Pelican Narrows is one of 8 communities within the Cree Nation. Bird wants to see more focus on community security, mental health support, and nurses. Healthcare workers say they feel helpless.
We're just setting targets, waiting for literally the next James Smith Cree Nation to occur. We feel that the weapons used, the sawn-off shotguns, cause enough damage as they are, but should a higher caliber weapon or weapons be used for these shootings, we would be seeing murders nearly every day. And we are trying to get help and call for help before it comes to that.
Van den Broek says nurses can't keep up with the shootings, stabbings, domestic violence, and overdoses in the community. She says regular medical care like prenatal, pediatrics, tuberculosis, or sexually transmitted infections become lower priorities. Leaders say despite effort, the government's response is falling short and that the community and its resources are on the edge of collapse. The trial surrounding the death of a 9-year-old in Saskatoon has been adjourned again. Bailey Maurice was hit by a vehicle in September of 2021 and later died in hospital. Taylor Kennedy is charged with THC-impaired driving causing her death. It's alleged she had THC in her system when she hit Maurice on September 9th. Kennedy's defense team is arguing police fell short in her arrest and in their investigation.
There were a lot of things wrong with this investigation. We're asserting that the only way that the police or the Crown is trying to save this case is through what we're asserting is dramatically unconstitutional legislation, and the whole case should be thrown out.
The Crown and defense were at odds about documents submitted late Friday and again this morning. In the end, the judge-alone trial was adjourned until April. Police in London, Ontario today apologized to the victim of an alleged sexual assault by hockey players in 2018. All of the men accused are now playing professionally, 4 of them in the NHL. Jamie Strachan has more.
I assure you that
under bright lights and intense scrutiny, an apology from London's police chief.
on behalf of the London Police Service, my sincerest apology to the victim, to her family, for the amount of time that it has taken to reach this point.
It's been nearly 6 years since a 20-year-old woman went to London police with allegations of a sexual assault at this London hotel. The alleged incident happened after a Hockey Canada gala and allegedly involved members of the World Junior team in town celebrating a gold medal. In 2019, London police closed their investigation, only to reopen it in 2022.
Upon review of the occurrence, it was determined that there were additional steps that could be taken to advance the investigation.
Last month, 5 members of the team, 4 of them current NHLers, were charged with 1 count of sexual assault. One player faces an additional charge that the other 4 do not. Dylan Dubé, Carter Hart, Cal Foote, and Michael McLeod are all currently on leave from their teams. The chief insisted no special treatment was given.
I'm not a hockey player. I don't know nothing about hockey. This is a sexual assault. investigation.
Police said new leads, additional witnesses, and evidence not available in 2019 led to charges, but wouldn't say why it took 6 years to get to this point.
I can't answer that question, I'm sorry.
I can't speak to that.
I can't answer that.
This longtime London criminal defense lawyer called the chief's apology significant.
It does seem to me that when the chief of police comes out and apologizes as many times as he did, that apology is based on there's something wrong inside his house.
London police have faced fierce criticism for their handling of this case.
A specific victim in this case deserves to know the answers as soon as possible. Otherwise, how can we trust this investigation going forward? How can we trust a police or organization that didn't press charges the first time?
It's estimated this case could take almost 2 more years to finally reach trial. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, London.
Buckingham Palace says King Charles has been diagnosed with cancer. The palace has clarified that the king does not have prostate cancer, but says a form of cancer was discovered while he was being treated for an enlarged prostate last month. He began undergoing cancer treatment today and will not perform any public-facing duties until that's complete. Charles became king in September of 2022 after his mother passed away. What a weird February weekend. According to Environment Canada, Regina had 8 hours of light rain between yesterday and today, and it's doing wonders to melt the snow, or what's left of it anyways. Looks like we're in for more warmth, but not a lot of sun this week. Ethan will explain in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. A major storm has left parts of the Maritimes under historic amounts of snow. Eastern Nova Scotia and Cape Breton have been especially hard hit. Many people are stuck in their homes and travel remains treacherous. Emergency services have been stalled too. CBC's Shayna Luck has more.
In some areas of Nova Scotia, people are digging out from more than a meter of snow. It began on Friday and continued over the weekend. In Cape Breton Regional Municipality and in Eskasoni First Nation, there are local states of emergency in effect. Cape Breton Mayor Amanda McDougall is calling on the military to help. The Premier tweeted he's written to the federal government asking for support. Public Works is moving plows from the western side of the province to the east, which was hardest hit. People are reporting drifts in the streets as high as 8 feet in some areas. On Eskasoni First Nation, it prevented ambulances from getting into the community.
We had 4 calls this morning, and they needed assistance. So our community members were helping out much as possible. So we have quite a few dialysis patients as well. They have to go to the hospital. Some of them haven't had a chance to go to dialysis, so it's really very important.
Some residents have told us they were trapped in their homes, posting photos online of snow completely covering windows and doors. In one Sydney Cape Breton apartment building, residents had to scramble when snow completely covered their ground floor windows and then burst the windows inside in a kind of avalanche. The snow has moved off toward western Newfoundland, but it is losing strength and not expected to hit there as hard. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Halifax.
Meanwhile, parts of California are being slammed by a weather event known as an atmospheric river for a second time. It's bringing high wind, snow, and heavy rain.
So this backyard here is just getting wrecked.
States of emergency have been declared in at least 8 counties, and well over 1 million people in the Los Angeles area are under flash flood warnings. More than 20 centimeters of rain have already fallen today. Winds in excess of 125 kilometers an hour have brought down trees and power lines. Evacuation orders have also been issued due to the risk of mudslides. The affected area stretches from LA to San Francisco and as far inland as Lake Tahoe.
The weather update is brought to you by Capital GMC Buick Cadillac. Level Up Your Ride event is on now.
All Our weather specialist, Ethan Williams, joins me now, and I kind of appreciate our weird weather now.
Yeah, the rain that they got there in Southern California especially kind of reminds me a little bit of the rain we got here. Of course, not to that extent, though, but in Regina and southern Saskatchewan, we saw it come down at times last night. In fact, yesterday, Regina, the airport, recording 7.6 millimeters. That sets a record for February 4th for the amount of rainfall that we received. The old record for February 4th goes back to 1967. Usually in the entire month of February, we only get about 0.8 millimeters of rain. So of course, this far surpasses that. And it's also been a warm weekend as well. In Regina, Saturday, we had a low of 1 degree above zero. And that is the warmest February night that we have had in Regina since February of 1932. It's one of the warmest February nights we've ever had in Regina. Still warm in the Queen City right now and through much of south and central Saskatchewan. You notice, though, things are dropping in the north. Temperatures there between minus 25 and minus 30 tonight as a cold front starts to move through. And just through south and central Saskatchewan, you can see we have this frontal boundary here that's pretty stationary at the moment. Warmer air actually to the east. Usually it's this part of the province where we see cooler temperatures comparatively to the western side of the province, but we have the opposite phenomenon happening, and that's creating a bit of a temperature divide. And where it's warmer, that's where we're still seeing fog right now. Near zero visibility in places like Estevan up through Yorkton and the Kamsack area. And that fog likely to continue at times tonight, but again, probably just isolated to that part of the province. We start to see that dissipate as we head through the afternoon tomorrow. Also, a little bit of moisture beginning to move through portions of southern Saskatchewan right now, this mostly in the form of snow, and it's likely just going to skirt between Regina and Estevan along the 39 corridor and maybe along Highway 1 east of Regina. Tomorrow, mostly cloudy in advance of our next system moving in, which could bring snow or rain, depending on how warm things are. Some models are suggesting this will actually be further south. It'll be into the States or maybe even a bit further east into Manitoba. So this one model puts this kind of a little bit further north, but this next snowfall model that I'll show you, again, puts those higher amounts further south and east. So areas like Regina, Moose Jaw, Weyburn only picking up about 1 to 5 centimeters. We'll likely know this time tomorrow just how much we're expecting to get. In the meantime, we do have a 30% chance of either some flurries or freezing rain, drizzle, I should say, for Regina. We're not looking for any significant amounts. Then Wednesday, again, I put 40% on the board for now in terms of snow until we know a little bit more with this next system. And then after that, it just stays cloudy and the temperatures start to drop a little bit as we head toward the weekend. Saskatoon, again, similar picture for you tomorrow with either some drizzle or some flurries. Less of a chance you'll get that system Wednesday. And then possibly, just possibly, you may get some sunshine as we head into the weekend. But until then, Sam, this kind of dreary weather continues.
We just have to remember that it is warmer and we can still be outside.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
Well, who knows? One of the next great basketball players of our time could be among these tiny tots. These kids are part of Little Ballers, a first for Regina that programs basketball for kids aged 1 to 5. How cute. It originated in Winnipeg in the fall of 2022. We'll be back after the break. The new season of HBO's True Detective is getting a lot of buzz, but you probably didn't know that it has a Saskatchewan connection. One actor who is featured prominently as a lead's love interest hails from La Ronge and started acting in high school plays in Prince Albert.
Not exactly used to this kind of attention, but yeah, it's nice because I think Kavik is a really lovable character. I mean, he's a guy who skirts the law. But I think he has it where it counts. I mean, I put a lot of work into demonstrating who this guy was deep down. Like I think he was raised by some powerful matriarchs. You know, he's not trying to assume any roles or anything like that, or push in any direction trying to change this woman that he loves. He's accepting of who she is, and I think he's a positive role model for any men out there. So I guess it's natural, I suppose, that people would find him interesting and alluring, maybe, in a good way. Yeah. Episode 1, you see a whole heck of a lot of me. So I warned my mom. I was like, look, you might want to skip episode. And then, of course, everyone watches this thing and she gets back, how come you didn't warn me? And I was like, I did. I told you multiple times. She was like, oh, maybe I was just too excited to listen to what you were saying. Like, classic mom, thanks. But nonetheless, it's all out there now. So enjoy, world. Yeah, we filmed it all out in Iceland. Truthfully, it wasn't nearly as cold as northern Saskatchewan. It was way colder back home, but it was chilly. It was chilly. There's never been a better time to get into the industry. We're in an Indigenous Renaissance period now. People want to hear our stories. They want authenticity. They're not putting up with, the Italians pretending to be us. Not only do they want to hear our stories, but they want to hear all of our individual stories, all the individual tribes, the groups. We're not a monolith. We're not all the same. I'm very proud of my Cree heritage on both of my Mushroom and Cookham side, and also of where I get my name from, Mount Graham. That's Michif. And the nice thing about working with other Indigenous people too, all the heavy lifting is done already, right? We're not sitting there and we're not having to explain all of the BS that has happened in our past. And so it's uplifting because, nobody laughs more than when just a bunch of natives are hanging out, right? So yeah, we had some really great times, and everyone's like a real ally. Jody is awesome. She's incredibly intelligent, really well read. I mean, sharp as a razor, that one. Yeah, and everyone in the production was going out of their way to understand.
So you can catch Joel in season 4 of True Detective Sunday nights on HBO. He also has upcoming roles as Hakoda in Avatar: The Last Airbender. And Ethan is back with one last look at your weird weather.
Yeah, still weird, and nothing's changed there. Still cloudy in Regina. North winds a little bit gusty at times tonight, but we should really see those start to die off as we get into tomorrow morning, not even gusting over 10 kilometers an hour. Temperature of around -2. We are going for above the freezing mark again. Noon hour, we won't quite be there. We may get some breaks of sun here and there, but keep in mind there is a chance of some isolated flurries or maybe a little bit of freezing drizzle. Same goes for Saskatoon. We're a little bit cooler tonight, down to -6. We're on the other side of that frontal boundary, so that means by tomorrow morning, still looking at a temperature of around -5, up to around -3 by the noon hour. We'll head toward a temperature of around -2. Cloudy skies, Sam, that'll continue to be a theme for a few more days.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
All right, before we go tonight, it was a big day for puppies and kittens needing homes in Regina and the people who rescue and rehome them. The Regina Humane Society officially opened their new home today. The new Animal Community Center is in Harbor Landing. The $28 million facility opens after more than a decade of planning and 2 years of construction. With this one now open, the old location on Armour Road north of the city is closed permanently. That location operated for 60 years. And a big congratulations to everyone involved with that project. That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to the CBC Saskatchewan YouTube channel or download the CBC News app. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great night.